can imagine. Look in the mirror, my decision staring back at me. Seeing my scars on my body, I just can't believe how far I've come, how far I'll go to do what's best for me. I'll do whatever it takes to see it through. I've spent my whole life looking for me beyond the gray blue sky. Now I believe, and I had to climb to break the what's inside. Now I gave my whole life new direction. Now I can imagine. I can't imagine. All alone on an open road, I feel free. Deep in the night, I'm the light. Now I can see. I'm free from the judgment, free from the bondage, free from everything that was me. Now I can spread my wings and soar. Whoa. Now I gave my whole life new direction. Now I can imagine. No matter how far, no matter how fast, I believe in me. I know that I can last. Each breath, a step I take, no looking back. Now I know who I am. I've spent my whole life looking for me beyond the great blue sky. Now I believe I had to climb to break the what's inside. Now I gave my whole life no direction. Now I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
Check 1 2, check 1 2. What is going on, everybody? Good afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. It's your good buddy David Hayes. I am here for another episode of Circle Talk, where we talk to good people doing great things in our community and communities all over the world. And so today, I'm really excited for an opportunity to catch up with a good friend of mine that I've known. We just thought about it in 30-something years, practically our whole lives. We have known each other, whether we were ripping and running in the church, outside, in the back of the park, singing in children's church, doing our we did our Christmas program, speeches. The whole nine. I've grown up and I've seen this young man come from a little whippersnapper, because I'm a little older than he is, 3 years older than he is, to a taller than me, very mature young man that is doing really well for himself and just continuing the trend of being a good person and doing God's work. So I'm really excited to have a conversation with Mr. Eric Westbrook II. June, what's up, man? I'm really excited for this one. So tap in if you guys have not already. Make sure you guys share it out. First off, I want to give a huge shout to my sponsors before we continue. First and foremost, I want to give a huge shout out to iShotTo.com. If it wasn't for iShotTo.com, I don't know where I would be at, because my good friend Marvin Patterson has done so much to elevate this whole idea of media and podcasting and just being out in the community and sharing my talents. And obviously, I'm really appreciative for everything that he does. If you guys are locally in the area and need somebody to get your pictures done and get your pictures done right, as y'all see this picture right here, me and my fam. Marvin took that one. There's one over there. Marvin took that one. There's one up there. Marvin took that one. He's taken pretty much all the pictures in my house, and he is such an amazing person. He'll go wherever you need him to go and get your pictures done and get them done at a reasonable price. So hit up iShotTo.com. Tell him I sent you. He'll get you a good deal. Next, I want to give a huge shout out to Intentions Juice and Smoothies Bar here in Tacoma, Washington, on 52nd and South Tacoma Way. If you're looking for something that's healthy, that's going to be nutritional, and take care of your body, hit up Intentions Juice and Smoothies Bar. She does these fruit bowls that are absolutely amazing. She makes these drinks that are all natural, none of that junk, no sugar added. It's all healthy. So make sure you guys go and check her out. She is in downtown Tacoma. Actually, not downtown. She's on the east side, 52nd and South Tacoma Way. She's working on a third store in downtown Tacoma. That one should be done by the end of this year. And she also has a store out in Seattle. If anybody's in the U district over there by UW, she has a store over there. Make sure you guys tap in. Make sure you guys check her out. She's doing amazing work. Thank you, Marquita Evans, for what you do. Last but not least, I want to give a big shout out to the DMAC Foundation. A shout out to Steve Garza, Selena Garza, Brooke, the whole family, and all of the supporters of the DMAC Foundation. They have been doing some amazing work in their young time being together as a nonprofit. Make sure you guys tap in with the DMAC Foundation. They're doing so many amazing things for our community, and I'm really thankful to have them on my team as a supporter of our Teen Youth of the Months. They have come together and put together some amazing packages for our youth, and I'm really excited to continue working with them moving forward. So thank you all so much for being a part of Circle Talk. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in the man of the hour, Mr. Eric Westbrook II. Let's get into it. It's a whole mouthful I got to say before I can bring you on, bro.
It's all good, man. I'm listening to you do your thing. I'm like, wow, this man got it. He's killing it.
Well, you know what, man? First off, I'm thankful for this opportunity to catch up with you. I know you've been extremely busy. I've been extremely busy, and life just continues moving. But we found the time to get together and conversate about some good and some great times in our lives. So,
Sure.
are you ready for this?
I am, man. I'm ready. Let's get it.
All right. So, what I will do is, because I know a lot about you and your family, but this isn't about what I know. It's about the people out there and trying to share a little bit about yourself with them. And so, do you mind rewinding back to where you were born, your upbringing, and just life, as a young man? Even before you was a young man, a young whippersnapper.
Yeah, yeah, how about that? Yeah, man. Yeah, so Eric Westbrook II,
Mhm.
Junior, to be man, I'm born and raised in the Pacific Northwest. I was born in Redmond, Washington, but raised in Tacoma,
Yes, sir.
Washington, where I was had the honor and privilege of being raised by Eric Sr. and Julie Westbrook,
Yeah.
my parents who were just amazing pillars in my life. Thankful for them, and then their introduction for me to my faith in God, and really through the Church of God in Christ. I grew up out there with my grandfather. My father's father was a pastor.
Mhm.
My mother's family, just all lovers of God, and just was instilled at a very young age just to have a fond respect and value of God, and It's really interesting because I always say now I've been in Philadelphia now the last 22 years, but every time I go back home to visit, I feel like Washington State, the Pacific Northwest, has a way of reminding you of God with just nature, the
Mm,
mountains, the trees, everything forces you to look up. And so,
mm,
yeah, man, my as a young whippersnapper, me and David, you and I, like we went way back, man, with just
yeah.
our families, man. Our families just having a strong conviction for God, for community, for faith community, for
Mhm,
um, healthy Christian traditions to help us grow in an admonition for God and really develop a worldview to help us like conduct ourselves in the world. And
mm,
I was just honored to be raised alongside of folks like you, David, and just with values instilled in us early on
mm.
that honestly impact the way I do life now,
Right.
the way I'm raising my kids. And so truly an honor. I'm one of four kids. I
Mm.
have two sisters and a brother, Janine, Christian, and Danielle. Love you
Yeah.
guys. Miss
Shout
y'all.
out to the family.
Yeah, for sure. My mom, she's still with us. Mom, I love you. My
That's
stepfather,
awesome.
Alex, love you too, man. Um, and yeah, man, just both my grandparents on my father's side have gone on,
Mhm.
but my Grandma Josephine, is 94 years old, and
Wow.
she is still here with us and just as sharp as ever.
Amazing.
And so, yeah,
Mhm.
like all of my family is still over there, and
Yeah.
so we try
Yeah.
to get back over there as much as we can because
Yeah.
I want to continue to bridge, keep my family and generations connected. So,
Absolutely. So what was the the reason for Philly? Why Philly? Do you have family out there? What brought
man,
you out there?
that's a really good question. I love sharing this story too, man. So, Philadelphia just was honestly, David knows I'm a musician. You already know, bro. I
Yeah.
love music. And I think at the time of my life, I had really just got to a place where I really wanted to venture out of Washington. I just
Mhm.
wanted to know what life would be like outside.
Yeah.
And I was really like, I kind of was, Cali and California and all those. I had been there, family there, but I just had this affinity for the East Coast, and
Mm.
it was just like I this desire to just go see it. And so, man, it was something that I just had a strong conviction about, and I would write in my journal. I would go to my secret spots over there. I go to Sunnyside Beach and sit by
Yeah.
the water, man, and any time to really just kind of reflect and pause and take time to kind of see what was next in my life. And I
Mhm.
think for me, like, growing up with tradition so strong, sometimes you can inherit what others want you to do more
Mhm.
than what you want to do, what's really
Mhm.
in your heart to do.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah, hence Philadelphia. Like I started doing research on the city. It was between Philly and New York, and
Okay.
Philly just really stuck out to me, man. I think at the time neo soul was huge, so Music Soul Child, Jill
Yeah.
Scott, these artists, and they were painting this picture of Philly that was like so amazing and soulful and
Mhm.
colorful and rich in history and culture. And so I was like, if I'm not going to college there, I want to at least move there and experience life. I was going to college out there and at
Mhm.
Pierce. And
Okay.
so, man, I think it was one of those maybe not a midlife crisis, but a 20-year-old crisis where it's like,
Yeah.
if I don't do this now, I don't know when I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of angst. I think sometimes like, I felt like a lot of decisions were being made for me, and
Uh-huh.
I wanted a decision that I was making for myself. And so, man, I started looking into Philadelphia, and I want to say, man, there were a few things that kind of happened in my life that made confirm for me like, yo, this is a good move. And I'll never forget
Mhm.
it. My father, he told me, man, God bless him, man. He told me, he says, son, I don't care if you fall on your face and make a mess of your life. You can always
Mhm.
come home. And
Yeah.
that was my green light. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I had all the confidence in
Yeah.
the world now, So,
That's
I
amazing.
yeah, so I came to Philly with $800 in my pocket. I told my parents 2 weeks before I was leaving.
Yeah.
Uh, I bought a one-way ticket. I had no place where I was gonna live.
Yeah.
But man, the amount of doors that opened, the people that came to my aid, my parents that really, mind you, again, like I said, I had $800 in my pocket.
Right.
They knew I was serious, and
Right.
for them to support me like that, my mom was like going crazy, but
Yeah.
for them to support me like that, and that made me feel extremely confident, and it was just something that I had to step out and do, and it ended up
Absolutely.
being the right move, man. I really feel like this is where I'm called to be.
That's amazing. So let's do a see. We're kind of bouncing around because this is
I
kind
know.
of that's okay because it's gonna all work out at the end of the day. This is what I love about doing these things. I don't have no script. I just go off top.
Good, good.
So you ended up in Philly, and it was because of music. But let's rewind back. Think about when we was kids and listening to all of the amazing musicians that came out of New Jay. I
Yeah,
mean, where do you think you you found that niche to say, you know what? I mean, obviously, your grandpa's a pastor, dad's a
yeah,
pastor, you got family all in the pastor field.
yeah.
Where did you find the well, when did you decide that, music is going to be what I want to focus majority of my attention on? Obviously, you still are a child of God and you
Yeah.
still share the word with the people. But when did you decide that music was going to be the one that you put your main focus on? Or
Well,
is
it was
or have you even done that? Are you
yeah.
still
So I was gonna say not so yeah, that's crazy you say that because it didn't go the way I thought. And because I think what the music was a huge and still has just a very valuable place in my life. I love music. But I
Yes.
think coming to Philly for me, like I music is always great and I love the expression of music, different sounds.
Hmm.
And again, but I think there was something greater about Philadelphia at the time and all the musicianship that I've grown up around. And man, I mean, the sounds, the harmonies, I mean,
Yes.
so many things that honestly I kind of took for granted because, you just grow up around it. You think it's just normal,
Right.
until you get into other circles. And you know this, David, like you
Mhm.
sang in different groups around the city,
Yes.
you as an artist yourself. And being in different spaces, you realize everyone doesn't have the experience you had growing up.
Yeah.
Everyone doesn't have like this kind of natural inclination to music or even a community to practice those things around. And so
Absolutely.
I think for me, like, yeah, that really um coming to Philadelphia for me was like more of a more of a sense of like, well, what is out there? What else is out there? And I wanted to do music, but I think more than anything is I wanted to apply all the stuff that I was learning about my faith, about life, about the world around me. I wanted to have an opportunity to apply that myself.
Mm,
And I remember one of the things that I shared with my mom and dad and explaining it later was like, you know what? I wanted to be able to get in a jam and not be able to call on my mom and dad to fix it.
mhm.
It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. It was like, and so for me, music was kind of like the precursor for really, it kind of ushered me into deeper into my faith. It
Mhm.
was like, okay, well, I sing all these great songs
Yeah.
about a God that is so big and so great and so vast and so wonderful.
Mhm.
And yet sometimes my greatest security is not in that God, but is in what's comfortable.
Mhm.
And so I was kind of challenged to it was a challenge to my comfort. Like I felt like music was just a tool that challenged my sense of comfortability. Like, hey, it's easy to say all these things when you got everything you need right around you at all times. It's
Yes.
another thing to like venture out and be somewhere and kind of feel like you're on mission and to live a life and now to see how real is this to me? Is this something that my parents am I going to church because my parents said so?
Right. Right.
Or would I choose this on my own? Is this
Mhm.
something of value and worth to me? And so
Yes.
I guess now with young people, I totally understand when young people are just trying to make sense of what really matters, what do they really value. And I think that's what it really was. And so music for me, like I ended up coming out here, and it was so powerful because like I had recorded a few things with some folks back home on
Mhm.
and did some things, was always really excited about that. But when I got out here, man, I kind of got introduced to the Christian hip hop community. And
Okay,
I
yeah.
wasn't, yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
extremely big on it back home, but I knew Marty Brazier. Remember Marty?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
MZ the Visionary, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
Shout
And
out to him.
yeah, for sure, man. And he really introduced me to like LA Symphony and those guys over there, and just that
Mhm.
sound. And so when I got out here, I just so happened one the first apartment that I was, not my first apartment, but my, I'll say my second apartment that I was renting in, I
Mhm.
was living on top of the studios where the Cross Movement recorded their albums, and I had no
Mhm.
idea who these guys were. And
Yeah.
so it seemed like, again, music was a tool that God used to kind of pull me into an expression of my faith that kind of became more personal for me and
Mhm.
less inherited, from my
Yeah.
family.
Yes. That's a great I love that last comment about music was something that you inherited when it came to your faith versus not necessarily having a choice, being um you've been being born into the church, but what my question to you was, I was just thinking about some of the things that you were saying, and I even ask myself this question sometimes as a person that was born and raised practically in the COGIC family.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a choice.
Yeah.
When did you choose? Can you remember the
Ah,
day you chose to be
bro.
with God versus being told you are with God and you won't do
Bro.
nothing else? Let's talk about that.
Whoa. Do we want to go there?
Let's talk about that.
Man, so this is I'm glad you said that, Dave, because that's a real this is like a turning it was a turning point in my life. So, you know, I think it was maybe I had been in Philly about a couple years now,
Mhm.
and man, I was just wrestling with internally with what I understood about my faith and what I understood about life. And I'm living on my own here. I don't have any family out here.
Yeah.
I've met friends and have kind of cultivated some relationships by way of my father. But
Yes.
what ended up happening was man, I'll never forget it, bro. Like I hit a wall, and I
Mm.
was like, yo, I don't know what I really believe. I was a part of a church at a time, and at that time, and I was struggling with the idea of tradition. And I want to
Mhm.
say this too, like I don't think all tradition is wrong, but when tradition isn't tied to anything of substance,
Yeah.
it kind of it starts to, when it's not fastened to anything, when things happen in life, it gets shaken. And then it kind of is like, okay, well, you start asking, why am I doing this? And so I remember I was going to this church, and I was enjoying this church, but I
Mhm.
started having real questions, man. Like as a young man, I'm thousands of miles away from my home. I know that things are in the sense of, I know what I've been taught to understand about certain things. I know things are maybe wrong, things that I was engaging. Mind you, I'm a college student at this time. I'm at Temple
Yeah.
University. I think I'll just say it like this: the ratio of women to men was like 5 to 1 or something like that.
Wow.
And so yeah, I was at a time. I'm single. I want to mingle, and I'm trying to, and I'm trying to
Yeah.
have these boundaries. And then I realized, man, how limited I was in my understanding of how limited I was with the tools in order to like do life. Like I knew how to have I knew church culture, but
Yes.
I wasn't necessarily, I didn't feel as prepared as I needed to be in order to like engage the world around me outside of the church.
Okay.
So you know how people can stand up during a testimony and say, first I want to give honor to God, pastor, who's the head of my
Yeah,
life, pastor, such and such. They can run those. And so there's a church protocol, like a
absolutely.
culture that you understand. And so for
Yeah.
me, I think like it was I remember I went out one night and I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm taking a break from God. Yeah, yeah. I was like, yeah, I just need to get away from the limitations and start and just kind of experience you in a different way. Like I started being very, very honest with God about me and
Yes.
about what I liked and what I was interested in and what I wanted to do. And I was, I just, yeah, I made that decision. Well, one night, if for folks that don't know, South Street in Philadelphia is like a, a space in near Center City that's like big tourist attraction, but it's a lot of food, fun,
Mhm.
stuff down there. They have concerts down there sometimes too, and it's a lot of stuff to do down there. And so at the time, I was like, I'm going to South Street, I'm hanging out, and I'm gonna meet somebody, and whoever I meet, it's going down. Like whatever happens, I want to meet her. We'll hook
Yeah.
up. We can hang out or whatever. And so I put on some clothes. I went downtown, down to South Street, and I bumped into, which was so odd. I didn't even know her, but I was inside a store,
Hmm.
and this girl was like, "Yo, I like your T-shirt." And the T-shirt that I had on said like, "God is my DJ." And the idea was that God plays the tracks that I dance to. Like basically, he controls my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, for somebody who's already like, I'm trying to really grab hold of my own life and make my own decisions, and I'm at a wrestle with God.
Yeah.
Really, having that T-shirt on kind of like exposed me. And so when she said I like that T-shirt, we started talking, and in my
Yeah.
head, I'm thinking like, okay, who is she? Maybe this is it. And
Yeah.
she asked me, what church did I go to? And
Hmm.
man, when I tell you, I started bawling, crying out.
Mm.
I mean crying like boo-hooing. And I
Really?
was just explaining, yeah, and I was explaining to her like, yo, I'm at a crisis in my faith right now. I don't go to any church. I don't want to go to any church. I'm good. I just want to live my life. And
Yes.
so yeah, that was kind of, I hit a wall, man. And I remember, man, the compassion she had and the kindness that she had.
Mm.
And she listened to me, she comforted me, and her and another friend of hers, they invited me to their church. And
Mm.
man, I was at my lowest moment, and I was so, because I was so lonely, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and I was just looking for connection. And then so I'm so glad God didn't allow me to go down the road that I wanted to, because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know now I know what that could have led to. But at the
Yeah.
time, I didn't have words to put to it. Like, yo, I'm lonely, I'm hurting. Like, all I know is to say no to stuff, but what do I say yes to? You know what I'm saying? And so
Yes.
that's kind of what how for me, like it became personal, is when
Mm.
I felt like at that time I turned my back on what I understood about God, and God met me in a new way, in a
Mhm.
way that was very personal, and that his grace surprised me, man. Because yeah, I was on another mission, and he uh he knocked me off my high horse, you know what I mean,
Mm.
brought me
Amen.
back.
Well, we're glad you're back, man. And you know, God is he's not on our time, he's always on time.
Yeah,
And
man.
so we just got to always remember that as we hit those roadblocks and those bumps in the road, that, these are all, tests to see
Mm,
where our faith is truly at. And,
it's real.
it's a struggle, but we're going to get through it, as
Yeah.
long as we continue to keep our eyes on the prize. And that's, spending our afterlife with him,
Mhm.
in heaven.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about. Um, I just had a random question.
Bring it
So I
on.
have a friend on here. Shout out to Rebecca.
Yeah.
She had said something, and it had to do with her going to church.
Yeah.
And she said that, as a kid, she never had a choice. And so
Yeah.
her upbringing, she's been kind of battling with, her faith.
Yeah.
What would you tell someone that is going through these motions of, you know what, my mom told me I had to do this, and it drew me away from it because
Yeah.
I was forced to be in this lifestyle, and if I didn't, I was always frowned upon. What do you
Yeah.
tell someone that truly wants to have a relationship with him, but has been struggling because of the things that have transpired within their lives with, family and the way that they have, kind of treated that?
Yeah, man, that's such a good question. And shout out to Rebecca for being so brave to share that.
Absolutely.
I think it's so important that we have healthy spaces where we can be completely honest,
Mm,
um, to be transparent with where we really are. I didn't realize just how for so long you can kind of go along with things
yeah.
because you don't want to stir anything up. But when you sincerely have questions or concerns, you need to have a space where you can ask those things and talk about
Absolutely.
them and not be demonized and not be punished for that. And I think when I know when I was out here in Philly, I found a church where I could do that. Like, now I was in college, and see, I'm so in college. It's so interesting, man, because I think this is why so many of us, we can leave a church, go to
Hmm.
college, and leave the faith. I
Yeah.
remember people used to say, "Go get your learning, but don't lose your burning." You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
because the idea was like college is where faith goes to die.
Hmm.
And it's like, no, I think there's something that we're missing sometimes in the faith community is sometimes college is where people go to learn.
Facts.
And church
Facts.
should be where we learn too, right? Where
Mhm.
we're not expected to already know, we're expected to come to learn. But sometimes I think church and the culture around it can be very punitive and
Mhm.
very oppressive in the sense where we're not expecting people to learn, we're expecting people to know. And if you don't know, you're in trouble.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's where it's so important that we create healthy spaces where folks can come
Absolutely.
and ask questions and get answers. I mean, Dave, how many people do we know personally that were like, "Man, I'm done with the church because they can't answer my questions. They
Facts.
can't without telling me I'm going to hell and
Hmm.
this and this. You're gonna without condemning me, without getting angry with me, without thinking I'm being
Yeah.
disrespectful. How
Hmm.
come we can't create a space where folks can ask real questions?" And that's why I love your platform, bro,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you're creating a space where people can be vulnerable, and still be loved. And
Absolutely.
that is
Absolutely.
not always the case. And so I would share with Rebecca that it's so important that you have a space where you can ask those questions.
Hmm.
Um, Trust your if you know other folks, other believers who seem healthy, you know what I mean, and they may go somewhere. Ask them, especially when you see people your age that are like,
Yeah.
you're okay. It's like, all the things that you may be dealing with in your life, others are too. And
Yes.
our stuff isn't that so unique where we have to be isolated. No, there are other people going through those things, yet they're finding hope to address it. How do they find it? And that's what I did. Ended up finding a church based on what I saw in some of my friends on Temple's campus. I'm like, man, I'm seeing these guys who I know. Man, there's women all around here. They could be doing everything every weekend,
Yeah.
and they're going to campus ministry,
Hmm.
and they're like, or they're doing like, they want to serve and they want to do things. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I need to be around people like that. They know
Yes.
something I don't know. And so
Yes.
even if you don't know where that is, if I guess if when you see healthy um believers, like, get around them. Like, when you
Absolutely.
see people who are able to engage honestly their faith, and don't be afraid to ask those questions and be honest. And if
Facts.
people are rejecting you because you're being honest, it's like, yo, maybe that's not the space for you. And and I know my parents, they always encouraged honesty. And
Mhm.
hey, I was honest to a fault. You know, if my
Yeah.
papa were here, if Bishop were here, he'd tell you, like, you know, if
Yeah.
my dad were here, he'd tell you. But you know what? I appreciate them because they let me be honest. They
Yeah.
let me be genuine. And so yeah.
So I got lots of questions that I want to ask, but I want to condense it down and try to stay on some of the key points that I really truly wanted to discuss and talk with you about. And so I appreciate you, Rebecca, for being here and sharing your thoughts and your feelings, so that we can, kind of, elaborate on how we can be of, assistance and help on your journey. If you want to get in contact with us, obviously, you know my number. We talk all the time. I'm sure Eric would be willing to, have a discussion with you, prayer session. She's one of my great friends from. She lives out in Boston. She says she loves it out there in Pennsylvania. I never been there. I never been to Philly.
Wow. You gotta
Yeah,
come
that's
out,
one of the
man.
spots I got to get to though.
Come
I
on
gotta
out.
get there. I gotta get there. But let me get back into something that I really wanted to talk about. Just growing up around some of the most amazing men that you and I have ever been around.
Yeah.
Shout out to grandpa and pops as they staring down on us, grandma as well, all the family and friends that we have, come into contact with that has left this earth. We've been around some amazing people,
Yeah. For
but
sure.
when we talk about Bishop and we talk about your dad, um, talk to me about one thing that you can remember that you instilled into what you do with your life from each one of them, because I know there's a lot of things that you have heard
Yeah.
and a lot of lessons that you have learned and been a part of, in your upbringing. But what are two things that you can say that you will never forget that they told you? um,
Yeah. Man, the heat behind my eyes, just every time when I think about them, man.
yeah, it's hard.
It's one of those things that, like, every time when I start having conversations about them in a real way, in a slowed down way, I'm so grateful, bro. I
Yeah.
really am. I think two things that they really instilled in me, and I'll start with Papa, and and Bishop. And
Yes.
I think one of the things um, that he always would tell me was just that, just to remember, never forget God.
Mm,
I think, my grandfather was an awesome man. And he would tell you, not a perfect man, but an awesome man, and who
mm,
loved God, man, and he loved people. And so he would always remind me, like, don't forget God in everything, keep him first. And I mean, it sounds so cliche,
yeah.
but it wasn't. Like, he really understood that you can forget God out here. You can totally forget him, and you can do stuff for God without God. And
Mm,
so I think when he would say that, it had a meaning at that time when I was younger. But
yeah.
as I got older, the meaning got more and more profound. It was
Right.
like, how can the very mind that was fashioned and created by God forget him?
Hmm.
And but it's a reality.
Yeah.
It's like you can literally forget. I mean, he's not one that you see, touch, taste, and feel all the time, but he's here. He's
Yes.
there. And so this faith walk that's not done by our five senses requires an intentionality of slowing down, of reading, um, of engaging texts. You know what I mean? Of fellowshipping with people,
Yes.
like-minded to help keep you. And so those things, I that means so much to me. Is like, hey, don't forget him. And then I think one thing my grandfather and both my father, they were both really big on these two things, but my grandfather particularly, he just was like, serve people.
Yeah.
My grandfather loved people, and he was about serving folks and connecting people. Man, I used to see people everywhere would talk about my grandfather like he was all of that. And you know what? I'm gonna be honest. When I was a teenager and stuff like that, I started to get skeptical. I'm like, man, these people, they just saying nice things about him, so he'll do something cool for them or something like that. But then
Yeah.
when I would hear some of them talk about the things my grandfather did and the things and what he meant to them, I'm like, wow, the sense of awareness that he had for people. He was intentional. He was detailed with people,
Yes.
even at that level where he knew so many folks and he was in such a position of influence.
Yeah.
He didn't forget like people, and he didn't see them as numbers. He didn't see them as just you know um fodder for his own glory. Nah, he
Hmm.
saw them as image bearers of God that deserved attention, that deserved respect and dignity. And those two things from him, definitely. Now my father, I'll keep this brief. My father, man, I could go on and on and on and on. But
Yeah.
my dad really embodied a lot of the things my grandfather taught. You could totally tell my father was his father's son. Like,
Yeah.
he just my dad was just very, I mean, if anything, I think my dad even drilled down further when it came to serving and loving people. My
Yeah.
dad was hilarious. He was the life of the party. He was so kind and considerate of others. I
Mm.
think my dad was very, very man, when my dad started to pastor, bro, I saw a side of my father that, I mean, still, it to this day rings. I mean, it just man, I saw my dad just go the extra mile for people like
Mm.
never before. And so and then my dad also told me, man, like, um he used to tell me things like, do it afraid.
Mm.
If you're fearful of something, be courageous, do it afraid. God is with you.
Yeah.
And I think, and that's what really helped me. A lot of people, used to criticize me being in Philly, like, oh man, you left your hometown.
Mm.
You supposed to be at New Jack doing this or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, did I lose you? I'm back.
I'm still here.
What I
Can you hear?
realized was that no, like oh yeah, I can hear you. Yeah,
All right. Cool. Cool.
my father, yeah, my father was really proud of me. And so my dad was really proud that I had stepped out. My dad was big on, don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah.
Don't be out here talking about what you believe, all this stuff. Be about it. People need to see your faith more than
Yes.
they need to hear your faith. And so, yeah, my dad was just big on that. He was big on really, really loving people, and then he was big on being genuine. And I think it was difficult, um, yeah, man, I miss him so much. It was difficult losing him
Yeah.
because so many parts of my life, I didn't get to share with him. I didn't get to share uh, getting married with him in the way that I wanted to. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah.
he was still with us during that time, but not in the capacity that I would have liked. But
Right.
God knows, he's home now, and but yeah, man, those were the things that still ring true from those two pillars in my life and of
Yeah.
men. Uh,
I, s- I swear I remember a few times, getting in trouble for running in church during, hey, and being
yes,
called
sir.
to the bishop's office, and then you had to walk around
Yes,
that
sir.
little den, then go to his office. Man, I was so scared back in the day.
Yeah.
I think he probably whooped me
Yes.
maybe once or twice.
Oh yeah, yeah. He would get right with us. You know what? And I remember the deacons. You remember Deacon Roy Corbin and
Yep,
and
you know
bro,
it.
bro. Deacon Paul Wilson, like they had these big old hands,
Yeah.
strong hands, man. I mean, when they gripped you up, you felt like life left your
Oh yeah.
body. Like, I mean,
Oh yeah. Oh man, all them
yeah,
amazing, amazing people, man. I
yeah, for
swear.
sure.
We have been truly blessed to have been in a place where, there was so much love and support and just, just amazing,
Yeah,
just hearts of gold, teachers, in our lives. And, I'm just honored that, I had the opportunity to be a part of the new J Run. I mean,
yeah.
because I mean,
Shout out to New Jay.
like I've learned so much, not just from you know, uh, every Sunday being there. I learned
Yeah,
on Tuesdays when I went to
yeah.
choir practices. I learned vacation Bible school when we
Come
had the
on, man.
jars and
Yeah.
we got to stick our hand in the jars when we brought people in. I learned so much. My mom was the secretary for a while, and
Your
she
mom
used
was amazing. Your mom is the GOAT, bro. She was
my mom used to do
beautiful, man.
everything, bro. She did
Beautiful
everything.
woman, man. Yes.
Shout out to moms.
Yeah.
She taught me everything. I mean, and watching her walk really, like you said, it paved the way for me. She told me a lot of things and said a lot of things, but she also
Yeah.
gave us a choice. At the end of the day, if
Mhm.
this is what you want
Yeah.
to do, um, do it. And do it
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. Like you said, do it wholeheartedly. Don't go halfway in,
That's right.
because that's you're still out. Even
Yeah.
if you're halfway in, you're still out. You got to
Hmm.
work, and trust me, if you work, he'll work for you. And so, I thank my mom. I thank everyone, from New Jay that had an effect on me. Shoot, man, there's so many people we can talk about. Uh,
Yes.
so many people.
We need a reunion, man. We need a
We really
reunion.
do. We
We do.
really do. Did you go to church? Not church, but did you go to the school when the school was still active, the academy?
I did. I did. My first I think I went for preschool. So I went for preschool and then yeah, and then I went to Bowes Elementary for
Yeah,
kindergarten. Yep.
yeah,
So
yeah. So
on the
let's
east side.
Bowles Elementary, huh?
Yeah, man.
Sheesh. I went
I
I went
know.
to I went to the academy until I got to fifth grade, and then my mom got a job at Bryant Elementary, and so
Oh
when she got
yeah.
a job at Bryant, then I went over to Bryant with her. But yeah, so
Wow.
yeah, I
Yo,
was
wow.
I
Wow.
was
Man, you're bringing back so many memories,
yeah.
bro. Wow.
So much, so much. So let's talk about going from a son to a father, and what are some of the things that you say you are instilling in your children that you learned
Yeah.
coming up?
Yeah, man, that's so good. One is, I became a father on June 30th, 2015, when my daughter
Hey,
came. Yep.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, June 30th.
Yep. That's your birthday?
No, my birthday's June 17th, but
Oh, very
close.
close. Yep, close. Yep. So yeah, man, my daughter came into the world and changed my life, man. I think having a girl was just so man, humbling, softening of my heart. Shout out to my wife, Alma Westbrook, who is just a jewel, and held it down, and continues just as an awesome mother. And
Hmm.
and my wife, and just making sure that our family, we agree on raising our family with the values that we find in Scripture, we find in Christ. And
Yeah,
so I think, um first and foremost, I want my children to know how loved they are, bro.
yeah,
Like, I think, the unconditional love that God gives, man, it's so, I mean, even that word unconditional, it just is so,
mhm,
it is not enough to
yeah,
describe the type of love that is offered to us, that we need to be aware of, at such an early age. And I think for me, man, I wish I could say that I have it down, but bro, my kid's only 8. I don't have one who's graduating from college. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, you know, I'm still in the starting blocks with this with
Yeah.
two younger kids, but I will say, man, I am so committed to creating an environment for them to be honest, for them to be loved, for them to know who they are, know what they like, know what God, the gifts and callings that are in them now. I'm trying to
Mm.
help them cultivate that. I want to like allow them to try so many different things. You like
Yeah.
soccer? Try it. You like baseball?
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah.
You like basketball? Anything, because I just you realize growing up, I'm like, man, I want to afford them every opportunity possible.
Mm.
My parents, man, were so great. I remember taekwondo classes and
Yeah.
gymnastics, and and just the extra mile my parents went to ensure that we knew we were loved, and we weren't I think as a kid, I think that it's sometimes it's easy to know from your parents what you're supposed to do,
Hmm.
but it's not always easy to know who you're supposed to be
Mm.
um, from your parents. And I want my kids to know all they gotta be is them,
Mm.
because just like my Father in heaven, man, nothing I do could separate me from His love. Nothing my kids could do. Nothing. Man, I think I understand that more than ever. I don't care what they do. They will always be my kids, and I will
Yeah.
love them. And so, man, those are the things that I'm constantly trying to instill.
Yeah.
And obviously, love, what I'm saying? Love comes with, boundaries and making sure that they're okay and they understand right from wrong. But I
Mhm.
think, man, like, I want them to know that they're loved and that they're safe and secure in this relationship. And the things that I am guiding them in and helping them with, and that they matter and they mean a lot.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, man, I try to explain. Whereas, and yeah, my mom knows, I talk to her about this all the time. There were some things, look, you ain't no explanation because I said so,
Yeah. Yep.
And you know what? You know what? That still works because sometimes they know, But my wife knows too. I am very keen on like explaining the whys. My
Yeah.
kids ask questions like, "Hey, why do we go to church every Sunday? Or why do we do this?" And hey, I have responses for them. I have
Mm.
answers. And I want to do that. I don't have all the answers, so I'm sharing with them
Right.
when I don't know. It's okay, but daddy will learn because I want them
Yes.
to know I'm learning too.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, I just want them to know that this is an environment where they can learn and be loved and grow, and not be expected to know everything. I mean, they 8 and 4. What do they know? So let me
Yeah.
help and serve them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cute. He said, "What do they know?"
I know, like,
My
and
son
the
is
little
6. He think he 13 and he know it
yes,
all.
yes. My daughter is 8 going on 22, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you,
Yeah.
she tells us stuff. She's like, oh, no, no, no. And it's like, she may not know that she thinks she knows it all. She doesn't know that. And so she does know some stuff. So I'm like having to be patient and like
Yes.
explain to her and like, oh, and when she is right, cool, you were right. But guess what? Don't be arrogant. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's like those things, those human things where
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
how
Hmm.
do I help you understand that it's okay to be right, but it's okay to be wrong too. And it's
Yes.
okay to learn. You don't gotta know everything right now.
Absolutely. Facts. Facts. So, Eric, it's 53 minutes. My son just tried to come in here. I had the door locked up. But there was a question asked. I don't know if Rebecca is still here. She wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
And her question was, can you sing a little something for us?
Oh my goodness, in front of David Hayes. Do you know who this man is? Do y'all
I
know
ain't
who this
nobody
man
special,
is?
brother. I'm just little old me, just trying to have an enjoying conversation with my good
Man,
friend.
Listen, now that is a big ask in front of this brother. Let me see what.
You crazy.
Um. Yeah. Let me see. What have I been singing recently that has been kind of resonating with me? It's always funny. I was thinking about this too. I said, I wonder if they're gonna ask me to sing, and I never have a song. It always just falls out of my head. But
I
I
didn't
will say,
even ask. I was trying to give you a pass, but
I know.
she asked, so I gotta ask. You know what I'm
But
saying?
shout out to her. Shout
Yeah,
out. Yeah.
she on
Um,
you.
yes, she is. So if there was a song that I could sing right now that would kind of summarize like where I've been right now. Let's see. Sure. Oh, here we go. Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaken. I don't know the rest of the words. I
Hey,
never what?
you still there,
Oh,
Rebecca?
here you go. I never been more glad I put my faith in Jesus.
Okay.
He never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he stop now? He won't. Yeah.
Mhm.
He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. He won't. Yeah.
No, he
That's it.
won't. No, he won't. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, I love it, man. I love you, and everything
Love you
that you've
too,
been
brother.
about. I appreciate you for spending, this time with me and taking us back on a journey. There's a few things that I wanted to touch on, but I feel like, you know, God wanted us to focus on the things that He had in front and leave the things behind us. And so I want to say thank you. If you have a
Yeah.
question for me, please
Well, Dave,
shoot.
look, just know this, man. Like, we can do a part two if you'd like. I'm
I mean,
always game. I'm game.
there's definitely going to have to be a part two because I mean, there's so much.
So much,
You
bro.
got to think about it. We haven't talked in a long time. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
things that I wanted to talk to you about. But the questions that I have are they're going to be some long, extensive ones,
Let's
and
do it.
I want to make sure that we are in the right space to do that. And so we're going to do a part two for anyone that's watching. Excuse me. Excuse me. We're gonna have a part two. We're gonna talk about it, discuss when we can do this again. And there's so many things that you guys do
Yeah,
not
man.
know about this young man, and I would love to share more of the story and the journey with you guys. But it's 58 minutes in, and my son is ready to come in. He keeps pulling at the door. So I think we're going to go ahead and conclude part one of this conversation. Um, but we will come back. I promise you guys, we will get you guys a schedule. Just really quick for anyone that is a follower, a faithful follower for June, there won't be I won't have a ton of interviews in June because I have birthdays every week. My daughter's birthday is on the 2nd. My oldest daughter's is on the 9th. Mine's is on the 17th. My brother's is on the 26th. There's a lot of birthdays going on. I'm going to be doing the
Wow.
Juneteenth celebration for anyone that's in town. I'll be emceeing the Juneteenth celebration on June 19th. I'll get you guys all the information if you guys want to show up. I'm gonna be doing interviews with all the performers, and I'm really excited to be interviewing 702. It's an old group from back in the day, and a few other people. couple surprises. I don't want to throw out all the surprises, but we got some special guests coming in the house. But if you guys want to be in the building for Juneteenth celebration, that's where I will be at. June 19th, I will be there right down the street. So I'll get you all the information afterwards. But, you will catch me in June there. And we will have our teen of the month for June as well. Those are the only two things that I really want to focus my attention on in my family. Birthdays, Juneteenth celebration, and the teen of the month. Those are what we'll be doing in June. We'll be back in July for a full slate of interviews. So tap in, tune in, keep following. Me and Eric's gonna chop it up and figure out a date because you guys gotta hear. There's so much meat and potatoes that we left off. That's we're gonna get into. But thank you again, brother. I'm really excited for everything that's happening to you and your family. I wish you all the best. I'm gonna hit you in your inbox as soon as we're off of here, and we'll talk about a good date for the both of us. All right.
Thank you, brother. Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity and looking forward to the next time, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for viewing. We will see you guys soon. Take care. Peace.